Hi guys, Saki with no Command & Conquer Red Alert 2 video. In this game I'm playing a 1v1 match on the map Arabian Oasis. I'm starting in the right position playing as Cuba. So this video is going to have two games on this map, and I was playing one of the subscribers who asked me if I wanted to have a game. So these, I'm going to have a couple more videos because it was some really good matches played. This is the first two matches we played. I'm doing them in chronological order. So in this first game, we did choose random teams, both of us, and I've ended up as Soviets and he's ended up as Allies. And now just getting my first miner out. One of the good things about the Soviet factions is the miners have little guns on them, so if the dogs get too close, then what happens is the dogs get killed. So yeah, you can see a dog getting quite close there, and it goes down. Also on this map, what you'll notice is there's like some pyramids and different things that your men can go into. And sometimes I like to put one or two men in, because if he tries to send the thing over, they will do a little bit of damage. And getting my first war factory out and expanding to the next ore patch. And just having a bit of a look around there, you can see I got some visibility on his base. Which is always a good idea, because you want to know what your opponent, exactly what your opponent's doing. And another dog coming there, and that dog goes down once again. So those miners doing some great work at killing those scouts. And you can see I've got a couple of miners now on the gems, so that'll just give you some really good resources, because the gems just, yeah, they give you more resources and all, so they're really good, useful, especially in the early game where you wanted to build up quickly. And because quite often what happens in this early game is you run out of funds, so it's really helpful. And what I've got is I've got a couple of anti-air defense there. Just in case he decides to build some Rocketeers and send them over. I always like to get them up first because Rocketeers can get out pretty fast, and I may not have anything against them. And what I've got here is I've got one of those terror drones where we can see our opponent building some pillboxes, so I'm going to have to be a little bit careful here and just sending it into one of his miners. So you might get a cheeky miner kill there possibly, while I'm just getting another ore refinery down there and onto yet another ore patch. And it's just getting the balance right as well. You can see I've got some more infantry there. I just decided what I'll do is I'll just get some of my infantry into a few more outposts around the map, so if he does start moving his units past those places, he will take some damage. I'm just trying to expand as much as I can, getting yet another ore refinery out. And now I'm going to be starting to build my next war factory. And the advantage of having another war factory is that it's going to increase my building speed. And now I don't think the second war factory is exactly as effective as it is in the remastered version, but I think it's like a 20% speed increase or something. I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think that's what people have said. So yeah, I'll be getting out those tanks a little bit faster. And just continuing to expand, because you can see there's another ore patch up these hills. I think this map's like quite good in terms of terrain for expansion, because there's not, sometimes with some of the maps you have like too many hills and you can't expand to certain places. And there we can see there's some of those, he's got some planes, and those planes doing some damage. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get my anti-air vehicles over with my tanks, just so if those planes do come again, they will be under fire. So those anti-air defense is going to pay off a little bit. What I'm going to need to be careful of though is the stuff around my base, because there could be other parts of my base which are susceptible. It depends how heavily he invests into those air units. And now we can see our plane coming over, and there's some paratroopers being dropped off. So I'll be able to, I'm just going to get on top of those immediately and be able to kill them. So yeah, you can just see them going down pretty quickly and not being able to do much damage at all. And just getting some anti-air defense now down, in case he does send a load of planes over, because if he does that, he could do something like take out a construction yard or something like that, and I've got yet another ore refinery, and this next ore refinery is on a gem patch, so I'm going to get quite a few resources from that, and I'll take my tanks a bit on the offensive. I'm just having a bit of a look there, forcing a reaction, so he knows that he's well aware that I'm there. Now he's playing as the allies, so my tanks, even though I've got fewer of them, they are a bit stronger. So you can bear that in mind when I try and attack. And now I've got another war factory, so I've got 3 war factories out now, so that's going to give me some really good building speed. But there again, we can see some paratroopers being dropped, but I've dropped a base defense, so we're going to see how effective this is. Let's see, will it kill the paratroopers? And actually it's gone down. Oh, this is bad, because the paratroopers are now attacking my ore refinery, which looks like it's going to go down. I'm going to need to get some tanks in quickly. One of them's got promoted, so he's going to be a bit stronger now, and just getting another base defense down, and we're going to be able to take them out. But it was at a bit of cost, and I did mess up with some of the ore refineries, pulling them by accident, because I was in a little bit of a rush, and I didn't want to pull my units from the front line. So yeah, we averted. That was a bit, it wasn't great, but we did manage to defend in the end. The base defense not being quite as effective as I thought it might be. But yeah, just taking my units a bit further forwards, and we're having a bit of a look here. What I do notice though is his base has some prism towers, so it might be very hard to push in. I'm going to have to go back a little bit. I have got some anti-air defense there as well, and now we'll just try a little bit, but you can see a pillbox going down and some paratroopers coming in for the defense. And I think if I get too close and try and dive in, I will lose this fight. So we're just trying to fight on the outskirts. Let's see what we can do. We're just having a fight. It's tanks on tanks, but we can see those prism towers firing a little bit. And although we've got some kills, I think we definitely have to go back a little bit. If we're fighting those prism towers, we're going to be roasted. So now we're going to pull back to our base. So yeah, the fight not going that well. Like, our tanks are stronger, but those prism towers, they do great damage as well. So yeah, getting back to my base here, you can see he's following me a little bit now, and he's also switched to Mirage tanks, which are quite hard to see. So we're going to get all our units together here, and we've got quite a few tanks you can see here. Now those Mirage tanks try to go around the other side, and it seems like at the moment he's just trying to sort of go in the entrance that I'm not defending. Obviously he's going to get some base kills that way, some structure kills. I need to be careful of that bottom position though, because that bottom position is where I have my construction yard. So yeah, just giving a bit of games at the moment. He's trying to sort of put me round and keep on running. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that construction yard and just put it a bit further up, so he can't get it in that bottom position. And now I can just sort of chase him. And now you can see he's trying to take his units further up. He did try, I think he was going to try and start attacking that pyramid, but we did manage to get a tank kill there. And we'll just see what we can do here. We'll have to see, is he going to try for the base dive? Oh yeah, some paratroopers there, unfortunately, getting some kill on some units. And you can see his tanks are going down though. He's lost so much there. And a lot of those tanks, while he was focusing with his paratroopers, have gone down. But I did mess up big time with my MCV and ended up losing that. So now it's going to be like a case of trying to keep the pressure on. I do need to keep the pressure on a lot, just so that obviously I'm going to be able to defend, I can't let my base get destroyed, but I do need to keep the pressure on, because if I just let him keep going, he's going to have a big advantage. So taking the tanks here, what I'm trying to do here is limit the ore, and I've got an ore refinery ore truck out there, and now his tanks are coming in again. But I think what he knows is he can't beat me in a tank on tank battle, but I do have to be very careful, because with those paratroopers, he could destroy some buildings, and any buildings I lose, I will have lost for good. So just destroying those paratroopers at my base. I'm just using select all here at the moment, and there we can see some planes coming in. We'll have to see what they decide to go for, and some paratroopers once again going into my base and landing on some of my major buildings. So I'm going to have to take them out ASAP. So got plenty of tanks in there and just killing them. So what I'm going to do is just focus on going back to kill troopers as they come in, but then keep on going back to apply pressure, and now you can see those Mirage tanks coming in, and we're going to go for the attack here. This is going to be a crucial battle. We've got our bulky Soviet tanks, and he's lost a couple of tanks there. That wasn't the best trade for him at the start there. Losing some of those Mirage tanks, and now we're getting in there, and some of those Mirage tanks now going down, and as Mirage tanks get lower in number, they become less effective, and you can see those Mirage tanks starting to get wiped out, and I've still got some of those Soviet tanks left, so not going great for him. And now we can see some of those auto harvesters going over, so we'll just try and destroy some of them. One's down, and I think it looks like another one's going to go down, but he's trying to bring some tanks in once again, but I need to go back to my base, because we can see those paratroopers are once again dropping in, and we need to make sure that none of our buildings get destroyed. So pulling in once again with my tanks, trying to get some squashes on the infantry, and they get taken out. They're not too bad. It's the danger is if you just leave them, they can do a lot of damage in a very short amount of time. And now I'm just having a look at his base. We can see that the opponent, he's not... Well, he hasn't got that many tanks. He's got prism tanks, I guess. They do a lot of damage, but they have very low HP. And now a harvester coming forwards, so we can try and take that out. And what I'm trying to do is sort of starve him with resources, because yes, he's got like prism towers in his base, but when we go outside his base, he hasn't got that much to defend, and those prism tanks coming in, and as soon as we go for them, he's trying to pull back, because he's trying to get in the safety of his base defences, because he probably can win from that position. However, if we keep applying pressure to his front line, to his resources, then he's going to run low, and again, it looks like some more paratroopers are going to land in my base. I'm also building some infantry now, so they should be able to do some damage as well. And just pulling back. I try and pull my tanks back at the same time, because I don't want him to get like a hit in. Those prism tanks have pretty good range, so if they'd be able to destroy quite a few if I just left them unguarded. And you can see those planes coming in right now, and they're not going to do too much damage, so I'm not too worried about them, because I do have decent tank numbers. And now what I'm doing is just guarding all these resources and trying to make it as difficult for my opponent as I can. And those planes once again coming in and getting some shots off on one of my tanks. I'm just having a look at his base now. We can see he's got a lot of prism towers, but I do have quite a few infantry coming forwards now, so my mass is starting to build up, and we can see his mass is staying very much the same. So I'm just scaling up here like I can, and now we can see once again another parrot drop coming in, so I'll just take care of that. I've got some anti-air defense here, and those paratroopers getting destroyed quite quickly. And I could see some prism tanks actually following me there. I think he was trying to get some cheeky kills while I wasn't paying attention. But right now, I think my army is starting to get big enough, and we're going to go in for the attack very shortly, just grouping my tanks together. And now we're going to go in for the fight. Let's see how we go against these prism tanks. They do a lot of damage. We could also take out some of the prism towers as well. So trying to take out the first one. They have a bit more HP than I thought though. And now going for those prism tanks. And the prism tanks falling down pretty quickly. And now we can take out the prism towers. And yeah, you can just see them getting decimated a little bit. And now we're going to go for the construction yard. Is it going to go down? He's trying to take it back to the back of his base. And we're just going to try and chase it, because we want to get the kill on that. But I've just realised we're going too far in, and he's got some good prism towers in the back of his base. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go for his remaining harvesters and do some major damage at the front end of his base. And he's called it good game. That is the first match over. In that match, I think what I managed to do is I managed to scale a lot more effectively, because I managed to expand out. But he did sort of like a bit better tactically. He managed to get my MCV out. And I think when he got my MCV out, he was... I think the big decider was when he brought his Mirage tanks in. When he brought his Mirage tanks in, he lost all of those. I think after that, it was very hard for him to get back into it, because I had the tank advantage, and he needed those tanks to sort of defend his harvesters as they went out onto the map. So I think that's partly why I won this game. Now this game, what we did is I played as a random Allied nation, and he played as a random Soviet nation. And I've ended up with the United States, so I will be able to get some paradrops. And it's a little bit different when you play as the Allied nations. What you can do quite often is you can get a... you can see a trooper getting in there. And a dog going down, actually, because my infantry managed to take that out. Obviously, our harvesters in this aren't going to contain those guns on them, so it's not going to be like that. And now getting that war factory down. Now, the build order is going to be a little bit different, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to build an airfield, so I can start building some Rocketeers early on. So I'll get to have a little bit of fun with those. I noticed that Chris last match, he didn't build any Rocketeers, so we'll see if they do well at all. And I can see that he's captured the pyramid at the bottom middle of the map. So starting to get some infantry out now. And I was going to go and get some more defences, and now just getting that airfield out, and that's going to allow me to build some Rocketeers. Now, Rocketeers are very, very fast. They can move around the map very quickly. Obviously, there's anti-air. If they go against anti-air defence, they get destroyed pretty easily. They're also very good at taking out dogs as well, so we'll be able to get some dog kills if he does have any dogs left around the map. And you can just see me there sending the Rocketeer for that dog, and it's going to go down because, obviously, they can't fight against them. And I think 2 terror drones there. So you had those terror drones just waiting to attack my harvesters or something like that, or my tanks. And we've managed to take those 2 out. So that's going to be a bit of an expensive loss for him in this early game. Because I did send a terror drone to him last game, but I don't think it did any damage in the end. But with these Rocketeers, it makes it quite easy to get stuff like that. And now we're just going to do some go around the map a little bit, and we can see that pyramid in the bottom middle is taken over. Now, the thing about these terror drones, these Rocketeers even, is they're going to be able to take out that pyramid no problem, and that's not going to be able to fire on them because it's got no anti-air defence. So getting an infantry kill there and being able to defend one of those things. And now I've got a power drop there, but the anti-air defence coming in, and we can see he's invested heavily in that anti-air defence, and those Rocketeers are going to need to be pulled back because they will make very short work of those Rocketeers. So he's invested a lot in anti-air defence, but that means that if I can build a lot of tanks, then they're going to be a bit more effective against their defences, because the anti-air defence, although they're great against air units, they don't do much damage elsewhere. So just now building up my tank forces and getting some like a good number of Rocketeers at the same time, because if he brings it, like, obviously those anti-air things aren't going to do well against my tanks. But the only thing is they're quite expensive, so I am struggling a little bit for resources. And we can see, I think is that a spy plane coming in, possibly? I don't know. Yeah, we're going to be able to just expand outwards and just keep on expanding our economy. We can see the other player, the Soviet player here, Chris, he's doing a bit of that as well. He's expanding a bit more than he did last game, and now just doing a bit of a power plant crawl. And I'm going to be getting a ore refinery, which is going to go down on that next door patch. Just having a bit of a look there. You can see I've got quite a few harvesters on the map, but at the moment I'm still struggling a little bit for funds, so I'm not ready to build my second war factory. Soviet player at the moment, I'm just having a bit of a look at his he seems to have a good economy going. And he is at 2-what? I was trying to get a bit of a sneaky attack there in, but he sees it straight away. And as I say, those Rocketeers can't get in there with those anti-air defence units. But what we can try and do is try and cause him a little bit of hassle, try and like go in little places, and if he does do a little bit of a mistake, we might be able to get something like an ore truck kill or something like that. But yeah, those Rocketeers there, and we can see some of his ore trucks are going a little bit of a distance, so we're going to bring our paratroopers in there. We'll have to see if he notices. So we're going to try and get a kill on that ore truck right now. It's going to, obviously it has nothing to defence, but you can see it's actually quite bulky. It's smoking a little bit, but his air defence units come in, but I think we managed just to get the kill there. Although we might have lost 1 or 2 Rocketeers in the process. So getting a bit lucky there, managing to get a little bit of a kill, getting some value from those Rocketeers. Although, yeah, they do cost quite a bit, and he will be able to replace that ore truck. He will also be watching out for any more attacks we do like that, so I do have to be careful. And now building another war factory. to increase my building speed of tanks, so I can get these tanks up in number, because the Grizzly tanks for the Allied aren't as strong as those Soviet tanks. So I will need a greater number of them to fight. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm just doing a bit more expansion again. You can see I've got a lot of harvesters on that ore patch, so I do need to get to extra ore patches just so I can use this advanced building speed and just build lots of units generally. So now we're going to be getting another ore refinery out. And just, yeah, you can see how getting a bit of a base crawl going on. We've got a lot of tanks there though, and we have got some paratroopers, well, rocketeers in with them. I'm just having a bit of a look around with the map. I'm trying to use the paratrooper, the rocketeers, just to get a little bit of a kill. We've got some more rocketeers coming over, and we're going to go for the harvester once again. Let's see if he's noticed, but he does have some units. They seem to be coming towards us, so I'm going to get these rocketeers in. Are they going to get the harvester? It looks like he's got an anti-air defense gun down, and it looks like I'm going to have to pull back because I'm losing too many of those rocketeers, so I'm going to have to go back to my base with that. So yeah, those anti-air guns providing great value there. And I've also got another war factory out, so it should have a faster building speed. I'm also going to need to improve my economy as well. And now we can see the Soviet player coming in with his tanks and those anti-air units. I've also got some paratroopers dropping down, just trying to get them to provide some defense as well. I'm just going to deploy them so they're like sort of in sandbags, which makes them a little bit stronger. And the Soviet player now, Chris, pulling back a little bit with his units. So I think those paratroopers made my defense a little bit better and deterred him from attacking this early on. I've also got the rocketeers here, but it looks like now with his base, with him having all these anti-air defense bits, I think it's looking a bit like my rocketeers aren't going to be much good anymore. But what I can do is I can take them back to my base, and if his tanks come in, then the rocketeers can do some damage. But we can see there is full force coming down there. And what I'm doing is I'm just getting a bit forwards, just so I can get sort of like put pressure on that ore patch. And now we're going to go in. Let's see what damage we can do here. We're just getting a couple of kills on his frontline units, and now he's coming back. It looks like he's about to go on the attack. He does have decent tank numbers. I just have to be very careful with those air units, so I'm holding them back a little bit and forcing him to dive in. So yeah, we'll have to wait and see what he does, because if he dives in like with his anti-air first, they'll go down pretty quickly. So I'm just trying to like do a little bit of a bait here, and now we're going in, getting some fights here. Let's see how this battle goes. And he's losing a few units, but I've got my rocketeers in. I went a little bit far there, but got a few shots on, and now we're going to be able to get on top of that ore patch and deny him those harvesters from collecting that ore. So just trying to put a bit of pressure onto his economy. In Red Alert 2, you need to be a lot more careful with your positioning of units and how you take fights compared to Remastered. I've realised that quite a lot. But now we can see the Soviet player, Chris, is getting reinforcements, and that army is starting to look menacing, and it looks like I won't be able to beat it with my units on field, so I'm going to need to pull back a little bit. And I was just getting a service depot there just in case I do like lose my MCV at some point. And now that's Soviet player going in, but the anti-air defense is coming in first, so we're going to try and take those in and then take in the Rocketeers to do some damage. So now a lot of the anti-air defense is gone. We'll see what the Rocketeers can do, and are the Rocketeers and tanks going to be enough? We'll have to wait and see. We'll try and take out quite a lot of units there, but it seems like my tank units are falling, but his are too. And it looks like we've managed to like push him back for the time being. He did lose a lot of that anti-air defense early on because he took them in first, and that did really cost him there. And now that saved me, and I'm going to have time to regroup. So with the anti-air defense, what you need to do is travel a little bit faster than the tanks. So if you send everything in at once, with them all selected under the same like hotkey, then you'll get the anti-air defense in first. They get destroyed by the tanks, and then I can bring my Rocketeers in to fight it. But we can see that the Soviet player, once again, he's got a lot of forces, and that army's built up massively, really, really quickly, and this is looking bad for me. He's also got a lot of anti-air there, so my Rocketeers aren't going to be much good. And yeah, losing a lot there. I've got my tanks still, but he's got some tanks mixed in there. And this looks like it could be very bad for myself. And this is a time I might have been able to do well with some base defences, but I'm losing quite a bit here. You can see the anti-air defence there, he's got tanks mixed in. So yeah, it looks like he's got definitely the upper hand, but we're managing to pull him back a little, push him back a little bit. We do have some tanks of our own, but yeah, as I say, the Soviet tanks are a lot stronger. So if he gets a lot of those tanks out, they could, well, Soviet tanks will win one-on-one with Allied tanks, that's just a fact. What I'm trying to do though is get some more paratroopers in, and that's just to provide a little bit more defence, because they do make a big difference if you've got like paratroopers and just infantry and sandbags around. It's going to make a big difference, and just getting some more power there and just keeping on producing tanks. But the army's coming in now, and I think he must have a good number of war factories, because those units are seeming to stack up for the Soviet player very, very quickly. But what we have to do is we just have to make sure we fight in our base, surrounded by the infantry, and then we'll stand a little bit of a chance. Now he's coming in. Let's see how this fight goes. We're trying to maybe have pushed out a little too far there. The infantry aren't there, and I seem to be losing tanks quite quickly. I'm going to have to pull back. It's not looking good for me, and the infantry is starting to have a little bit of a fight now. But those infantry going down very quickly, and it looks like the Soviet player, Chris, has got me beat here, because you can see I don't have many tanks left, and they're all down, and now he's going to be able to push into my base. So now going back into he's going into my base, and I think I've just managed my funds a little bit badly. Maybe we needed some base defences as well when he was going on the attack, but you can see now I'm losing those war factories, and he's got the tank advantage, and there's no way I'm going to be able to come back from this. The paratroopers aren't going to be much good either, and it is going to be a good game. So yeah, two really great games. It was just fun having like someone like another beginner to play with, sort of, or someone who could play well at a similar standard to myself, because it's very hard to find games like this in this game. So it was great. As I say, I'm going to have some more videos of me playing him, because there's going to be about 6 games in total. So thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video.